Welcome to Fazza Love Poems. Subscribe now. The desert remembers what I try to forget. Every night when the wind sighs against the dunes, it whispers her name, softly, as if afraid to break me again. I had held words in my chest for too long, words too fragile for the weight of time. I wanted to tell her. God knows I did, but love has a way of silencing even the strongest hearts. I thought I had time, one more sunset, one more breath, one more chance to let her know what she meant. But time doesn't wait for those who hesitate. She left before dawn, her footprints already fading into the sand, her scent still hanging like prayer in the air. I stood there, empty-handed, watching her vanish into a world I couldn't follow. The sky turned gold, but I saw no light. I had loved her in silence, and now silence was all I had left. It wasn't the kind of loss that breaks loudly. It was quiet, unbearable, infinite. She didn't take anything with her, yet everything felt gone. I still see her shawl dancing with the wind, like the ghost of a goodbye she never said. I should have spoken. I should have told her what my eyes had been screaming for years. But love, when pure, often hides behind fear, fear of being too much or too late. I had rehearsed those 3 words 1,000 times beneath the stars, whispering them into the wind, as if it could deliver them for me. But the wind only carried them back, unanswered, unfinished. Now, when I ride through the dunes, the air feels heavier, the silence louder. Every grain of sand seems to echo what I couldn't say. She became part of the horizon, always near, never reachable, and I became the man who loved too slowly, for a world that moves too fast. There was a night I still remember, the last one before she left. The firelight flickered between us, and her eyes reflected constellations I couldn't read. I wanted to reach for her hand, to tell her that my world began and ended with her breath, but my courage failed, where my love never did. I smiled instead, a weak, trembling smile that said everything but what mattered most. She smiled back, and that was enough for me then. Foolish heart. I thought love could be felt without being spoken. That maybe she knew, maybe she did, but knowing isn't the same as hearing. Now, I spend my nights chasing echoes, her laughter carried faintly in the wind, her shadow flickering across my dreams. The desert is cruel that way. It remembers her shape, but not her warmth. I wake before dawn and call her name, but only silence answers. She's everywhere, except where I can reach. The sun rises differently now. It doesn't warm me like it once did. It burns. Each dawn feels like a reminder of the words I buried alive. I walk the same paths we once shared, tracing invisible memories on the sand. Sometimes I see her in the mirage, her scarf flowing, her laughter in the distance. But when I blink, she's gone again, leaving only the ache of almost. The horses sense it too. They pause, their ears turning toward the emptiness where she should be. I wonder if fate is mocking me, showing me glimpses just to keep the wound fresh. I used to believe silence was strength, that unspoken love carried more depth. But now I know, silence can destroy what love builds. It doesn't protect, it suffocates. The dunes keep her secret, the wind keeps her name, and I keep the confession that never crossed my lips. At night I light a fire just to see shadows dance, her shadow among them. I close my eyes and imagine her sitting across from me again, the way she used to, quiet but alive. The flames flicker like her eyes did, warm, knowing, forgiving. I whisper the words I never said. I love you. The night listens. The wind slows, the stars lean closer, but she doesn't answer. Maybe she never will. Maybe love isn't meant to be answered, only felt. My voice cracks in the silence, but it's too late for sound to reach her. I wonder where she is, if she still remembers the man who couldn't speak, the one who watched her leave, instead of asking her to stay. Every night ends the same. Me, the fire, and the ghost of my own hesitation. I was a man who could lead armies, command storms, Yet I couldn't form 3 simple words before she disappeared. They tell me time heals everything, but time doesn't touch what love sanctifies. I tried to move on, rode through new lands, met new faces. But every road curved back to her memory. Sometimes in the quiet between prayers, I feel her beside me, her hand brushing mine, her voice hidden inside the wind. Maybe that's how love survives. Not through presence, but through absence that refuses to fade. I still talk to her though no one listens. The dunes they understand, the stars they remember. I tell them what I never told her, how her silence was louder than any storm, how her eyes carried peace I'll never find again. If she were here now, I wouldn't wait for the perfect moment. I'd hold her face between my hands and tell her everything I once feared to say. But love doesn't rewind, it lingers, unspoken, undying, unfinished. And maybe that's what eternity truly is. Sometimes I wonder if she knew, if she saw it in my silence, the way I watched her, the way my heart paused every time she turned toward me. Perhaps she understood, and perhaps that's why she left. Because even love, unspoken, becomes a weight the heart can't carry forever. She left like twilight, not suddenly, but softly, fading until only traces remained. I remember her last glance. It wasn't goodbye, it was forgiveness, as if she knew I would spend a lifetime wishing I had spoken. And I do. Every sunrise feels like a repetition of that final moment. Her walking away, me standing still, the air thick with everything unsaid. The desert wind still moves her scent across my world, and sometimes I close my eyes to follow it. But there's no end, only echo. She vanished not from sight but from time, and yet somehow she remains, a silence that never stops speaking. I've learned that love doesn't die when someone leaves. It just changes its form. It becomes memory, it becomes ache, it becomes prayer. Mine lives in the pauses between breaths, in the stillness of nights that refuse to end. I used to think saying I love you was the destination. Now I know it's the beginning I never reached. Sometimes I ride into the dunes where we once stood, hoping the wind might return her voice, and when it doesn't I whisper instead, not to be heard but to remember, because even unspoken, love still breathes. It moves through me like wind through palms, unseen but unending. Maybe she hears it wherever she is. Maybe the words finally found her through the silence. And if they did, I hope she smiles, because even without saying it, I meant it with every heartbeat. Love doesn't vanish with her. It lingers, eternal like her footsteps in the sand. Tonight I sit beneath the same stars that once watched us together. The fire burns low, and the wind hums her melody again. I speak into the night. I love you. The words sound strange after years of silence, but they finally exist. They rise with the smoke drifting into the sky, maybe finding her wherever time has hidden her. I've realized something. Words unspoken never truly die. They live inside us, growing roots deep into memory, blooming in every sigh. She may have vanished from sight, but not from my story. Some loves don't end. They survive in the pauses, in the spaces between what was and what could have been. My heart still beats her name. My silence still belongs to her. And though I never said it when I had the chance, I know she knew, because love that deep doesn't need sound. It just needs truth. And my truth was always her, always.